Welcome everybody to our, what is this, number 3? The 3rd episode of our Professionally Evil Lunch and Learns. Today's April 24th for posterity. I didn't prepare this at all. I don't know what's going on. So the concept of these lunch and learns, the idea is that, there's a whole bunch of marketing stuff out there, a whole bunch of sales stuff out there. We just wanted to have something that's kind of fun, just get some security guys together and talk about topics in security. We know that everybody's time is valuable and everybody's got a lot of stuff going on. So hopefully you'll find this enjoyable. If not, feel free to leave, I guess. We're going to have a good time for the next hour. Also, if, worst case, if all you're trying to do is collect CPEs, this is worth one good CPE for the hour. So stick with us and at least that way your CISSP will be taken care of. So anyway, here's the idea. Every month, this is about lunchtime if you're in the central time zone. Hope you grabbed lunch. If you're Eastern, maybe you waited or you've already finished. Are you guys eating, Kate or Devin? No? Do you have Kate? What are you drinking, Kate?
I'm embarrassed to say, so it's just a shake.
Shake? All right. Did you have lunch, Devin?
Yeah, I did. I went and grabbed a pita sandwich.
Pita sandwich,
stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had a salad from Aldi, which was actually really good with black beans. It's a little Southwest salad action, like already, one of those bag deals. It was pretty good. Everybody else, if you're in our Slack channel, feel free to share what you're eating for lunch. If you aren't in the Slack channel, jump on there. If you go to professionallyevil.com, that's professionallyevil.com. At the bottom of that homepage is a link to Slack. It's an invite that anybody can sign up for. Jump in there, and that's where we'll have conversations and whatnot during the webinar. Other things before we get started, yes, we are recording, and yes, that includes the Slack channel conversation. So a couple rules on that. Don't do anything stupid where we have to uninvite you from all future stuff and edit you out. And also don't post anything sensitive that you don't want to be published on the website on YouTube, because all this will be public later on. Any questions you have, any comments, feel free to throw them in Slack. If you want to put them in the go to training chat window on the bottom right, you can try. I don't do a very good job of paying attention to that, but Kate sometimes watches that. Devin's Social Security numbers right there. Awesome. I love it. With that said, just as introduction, I didn't prepare introductions this time. Anybody who's been on the internet for a while should know Kate Vajda, but just in case, I'll let her go ahead and introduce herself.
That's exciting. I'm Kate Vajda. I'm one of the senior consultants at Secure Ideas, and I've been going to conferences for quite some time now. I guess in the realm of this is the conversation about conferences, I started going to conferences in 2009. So I guess that doesn't sound too long. I mean, for all you old people, but from a lot of people that I've spoken to, it seems like it's been a while. So anyways, I've organized several conferences, volunteer at several conferences, and attend several conferences. So I guess to you guys.
And you were in junior high in 2009, right?
Yeah, I was just graduating high school, actually.
Okay. And we give Kate a hard time around the office for being the young one, but she's actually not the youngest anymore. So, and Devin, feel free to introduce yourself.
Hey friends, my name's Devon Greene. I'm a senior consultant with Atretis Partners. Like Kate, I've been going to conferences for a long time, actively involved in helping with everything from managing submissions to just heckling the organizers like Nathan and the good folks at BSides. Got a lot to share today.
Yeah, so I actually, I didn't meet you, but we volunteered, worked together for the very first BSides Oklahoma. I think you helped for a couple of them, the second one too, a little bit. And then after that, you've kind of faded out a little bit.
Yeah, that's why I said heckling. My role definitely changed quite a bit, and
right.
A lot of conferences out there.
I hear you. So this has been killing me. You introduced it as Atretis. I've always thought it was Atretis. Is the E a short E or a long E? Or have you been around long enough to know?
So I hear people of my organization call it either or. So
got it.
Atreides, Nathan, if you're seeing this. what I called it.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Awesome.
All right, well, let's jump in. So the goal for today is we're just going to chat about security conferences. I've got some questions kind of pre-built. We've got a lot of folks on the line. I would love for anybody to throw out questions, especially as we're talking. If you have something to say, throw it in chat. In some cases, if we need to, we may give you the microphone if you really want to talk. But other than that, we're just going to kind of let the conversation go. So to get things kicked off, I thought I would start by asking Kate and Devon, and you can fight over who goes first. What is your all-time favorite conference? And that can be like a specific year, like this conference on this year, or just in general. Like do you have a favorite conference when it comes to security?
Do you want me to answer first? I thought we were going to fight. Okay, Defcon is my favorite one. I hate to say that, and I know that that's probably going to make you mad, but Defcon is my favorite one. It's the first one I went to in 2009. It was like hyped up to me when I was actually in high school, so I looked forward to it drastically. And once I got to Defcon, I got involved in it. So I was running CTFs for years. I was, doing CTFs, running CTFs, meeting a lot of really cool people. And now it's really the only place I go to see a group of friends that I only see there every year. So it's my favorite. That's why.
So this is going to sound kind of funny because coming back from that student environment, like back in college, we did a lot of competitions. We did OWASP in Minneapolis. We went out to Miami for Hacker Halted. Then eventually we all got together for DEF CON. And when you mention like your favorite, I'd say that memory was probably one of my favorite, security experiences ever. Going there with a bunch of your best friends and just seeing that you are not alone at all. All these people are just as crazy as you are, and then some. But it kind of changed. I really don't go to DEF CON as much anymore. I definitely say like DerbyCon is kind of like that new place that I like to go to kind of see old friends and hang out.
And I think,
oh, sorry.
No, I agree. Like DerbyCon kind of really turned into that for a long time for me. And then since then, Circle City Con has replaced that from Derby. Like it's a good second for me, whereas Circle City is, and I hate to say that, like I organize other conferences, so I should be talking about those, but no, like after DEF CON, Circle City is definitely the second.
So what is it you like about Circle City Con? Because I've never been.
Oh, geez. It's the people. It's the people who are there. It's very similar to Derby. I don't want to say it's the family thing because it's not. It's the people. The people who show up are awesome. The talks are awesome. Not that I go to them, but I'm told they're awesome. But it's really just the people that you hang out with around the conference.
Is it people you already know? Or is
in that case, yes.
Okay. Interesting.
But both.
Yeah, I kind of have the same opinion as you guys. CanSec West was mentioned. I've never been to CanSec West.
Were they hosts? Oh, go ahead.
What's that?
Oh, like I was just saying, for sure that's on my list, to go watch like the Pwn-to-Own competition and just watch everybody at their peak.
Is that fun? Like I've never watched one of those competitions. To me, it seems like it's like watching it's like when somebody says, hey, I want to come sit and watch you do a pen test. Well, yeah. That's kind of boring actually. Like, how about you come hang out and then I'll show you like the 15 minutes that are fun, exciting. But
so I've never actually spectated like, hey, watching them deliver like their exploit or how they go about setting that up. But just the, I guess where I feed into the excitement is yes, it can still be done.
I got you.
I can't recall the competitor's full name, so I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but I believe I do recall him being South Korean, and he went there, as I read the article, it was basically him by himself, but he had just smashed everything, O-days all around, and took one of the biggest purses in the competition's history. So just to watch it happen live, that's always a good feeling.
Nice.
At least for me it is.
yeah, no kidding. So you guys, I was going to mention, you mentioned DEF CON. Like I've always heard of like the Blackhat, DEFCON, BSides, Las Vegas scene kind of as SummerCamp, hacker SummerCamp, people talk about stuff like that. I've always thought of it as almost like a church camp, because it's this place where you go away from home for a week and you spend time with other people that believe the same way you do. and you get all excited and hyped up in your faith, and you're like, yeah, this is the way the world's supposed to be. Yeah, we're on fire. We're going to go out and change the world, and this is reality, and everything's awesome. And then you go back home and find out that nobody else was there, and that high, like, you crash back down because all of a sudden you realize, like, not everybody else believes like I do anymore. Does that make sense? I don't know if you guys
That totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. Not that I went to a church camp, but that's how I would imagine it.
Yeah, right. Michael said he's never been to Defcon before. I definitely recommend, if you've I always tell people, Defcon's not for everybody, but you need to try to go to at least one. Like, it's an experience, right?
It's definitely an experience.
So
I would say for me though, Defcon, it wasn't like the summer camp thing that everyone gets hyped up, because if you're planning the whole year, you're writing all your puzzles, you're trying to get a CTF prepared, and then like showcase time is during Defcon, and you see just the most amazing minds at once trying to solve these things that you might not even have a solution for. And you watch everybody do crazy, amazing things everywhere around you. Like that part is awesome. But then, like, as soon as you come back home, you're like, all right, so what could we have done better? What should we, like, it just starts the cycle back over. And I don't know. Then the hype ramps back up to, I don't know. So I guess it's kind of a different.
Sure. I'll come back to organizing a little bit, but we had BSides Oklahoma the week before last, and then last week we started the planning sessions for 2019. So yeah, that cycle's there. So I'm curious, on average, how many conferences do you guys go to per year?
Myself, I go anywhere between 3 and 5. But I did have one more comment regarding DEFCON, and we'll leave it at that. It was really more for Michael. Like, arrive really early. Just as early as you can. Start getting in line to get your ticket, and try to plan ahead as far as what you intend to see, and then also acknowledge that you probably aren't going to be able to see half of that for a couple reasons. So one of the reasons being could be standing room only, may not even be any more room left. That, and you're going to experience like a lot of different things that you may not have seen before. They have all these little cool villages to go kind of tour around, and just people to meet. I had a long list. I'm like, I'm gonna go watch this talk, that talk. And I saw maybe one of those talks, because the other time I'm just, meeting new friends and trying new things and getting really drunk.
Well, so I want to add to that though, because they've changed it. I mean, I guess they brought back all of the rooms can watch talks. So you can actually sit in your room with your friends watching all the talks that you would have missed instead of getting in line for them. And then you can also see them online afterwards. They're all posted online. So yeah, they're all recorded, so you can watch them later. You don't have to thanks, Frank. But yeah, so it's actually like, I never go to the talks at DEFCON, and I don't go early in line. That seems ridiculous. But I don't know, like, maybe the standing in line's your thing, but really you could just sit in your room and watch them if you want to. I would highly encourage doing competitions or going to the villages and getting your hands on stuff and watch the talks later. That's my 2 cents. Everyone does it differently. Whatever you're into is what you should do.
For sure.
Yeah. I definitely, I'm kind of the same way. There's usually a couple of talks per year that I try to hit, like if I go to DEFCON or something like that. I'll usually try to look through I'm one of those guys that likes to read the entire book and pick out, like, here's the talks I really want to see. And then I'll make a list so that later when they're on YouTube, I can go back and watch them. But usually there's like 1 or 2 that I really want to see in person for whatever reason. And some of those, I mean, like, do you guys remember a couple of years ago when Barnaby Jack did the slot machine thing on stage? Were you there for that one? Okay. I saw it at Blackhat. I didn't see it at DEFCON because it was the same talk. But, like, I mean, that was one of those, like, I mean, it was silly. It was kind of stunt hacking, but it was a really cool, I mean, they were shooting out fake money. But right when he hits the exploit and, like, fake money starts shooting out of the slot machine. Or no, it was an ATM. That's not a slot machine. It was the ATM.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. I mean, there was stuff like that was, I don't know. That's, like I said, a silly one, but every once in a while there's some talks that are pretty good like that. Let's talk about some of the other events that came up. What I mean, there's a ton of different events, especially at DEFCON. What do you guys think? And I've made a list of some of these, but like a lot of security conferences have lockpicking. Are you guys into that? Have you ever like hung out at the lockpicking village, or what are your thoughts on that?
Lockpicking's a lot of fun. Go ahead, Devin.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, just to kind of echo what Kate just said, heck yeah, dude. Opportunity to go in there and pick some locks. So that's how I got introduced to it. And then before you know it, you can go take like a woman's hairpin and actually open up a padlock. Like I did that, took a picture because I was just like, holy cow. Like some of these movies aren't so far-fetched where, you know, like it's a guy and like, you know, he's got like the beautiful girl. He's like, oh, Samus, give me your hairpin.
Yeah.
It totally works.
I hate it when you see somebody stick something in there and they don't have a tension pick, or, you know, the tension.
Oh, right.
They're just like, I'm like, that's not how it works. They can't do that.
I'd say I actually, like, while you're doing lockpicking anywhere it is, like, you're doing, say you pick a couple locks and someone's watching and they're like, how did you do that? And then you get to explain it to them and you get to meet people. I actually met a lot of people just sitting around lockpicking and talking and, you know, having a good conversation, but keeping your hands busy, I guess. So I'd say it's like, definitely get into it. And actually at some point in my life, I put a set of lockpicks. I don't know how legal this is, so maybe we should edit this out if we can. At some point in my life, I had an apartment complex and I had a party at my house every single week. And to get into the party, you had to pick my front door. And so everyone at that party, every time would learn how to pick locks. It was a really fun experience. And then, you know, everybody continues to do more things once they get inside, but it was just a good time. That's all I'm saying.
That's fun.
It's Kate brought up a good point about possibly, thank you, Frank is saying it right now, try getting these lockpicks on a plane. So it's surprising, maybe it's just, you know, me and I'm just like lucky, but I haven't really had any issues and I carry 2 sets.
I haven't had issues.
Yeah, I've got, so I don't have my wallet with me. So I've got a set of lockpicks that I carry in my bag. And then I also have, do you guys remember, have you seen those little, the business cards that like Kevin Mitnick used to give out and stuff? So I've got like a cheap one of those. I mean, it's like, if you ever try to use those, it's worthless. It's like, but I have another one from Tool that is like I'm saving that for an emergency because I really don't want to break it apart. But I carry those in my wallet and I take them through metal detectors. I've never had the TSA complain about it.
So I guess step back. There was one time when I spoke at Sector in Canada. So going like, you know, through there,
international.
They were just like lockpick set number 1, number 2, laptop number 1, laptop number 2, wireless card, another wireless card, like all this stuff. And I'm just like, it's just for work, man. Just for work.
That's the only time I was stopped was going to Canada with my lockpicks.
That's funny. Yeah, I got stopped going to Guatemala. So probably not international. It's not a good place to do that. Oh yeah, Frank's in Canada, so that totally explains it.
Yeah, that doesn't help for him. There for my daughter.
So somebody, this is something we figured out at work. You know, there's a lot of different state laws, and sometimes having them depends on why you have them and your how you intend to use them and that sort of thing. Somebody explained that anytime they get caught with anything like that or get questioned, they just say that I give presentations, and these are some of the props that I use for presentations, which are accurate because anytime I'm doing a pen test and people talk about lockpicking, I may pull them out and show them and explain how they're used and that sort of stuff. So we're getting kind of off topic a little bit though. Let's talk about are there other activities, other events at cons that you guys really enjoy or have participated in?
For sure. And Kate's going to say it too. CTFs all the way.
CTFs, 100%.
They're so diverse, right? Because I remember before, like, you know, kind of like on ctftime.org where it's more like Jeopardy style format. It was more like King of the Hill style, or there's also great, like, you know, network forensics types. I mean, there's so many different skill challenges out there, and they're all, they cater to so many different levels of skill. It's just great to go in there and learn something and try and just, you know, meet people who are also trying or who, you know, probably know more than you, and just the learning experience in general.
Yeah. I've never really enjoyed CTFs. I've done some once in a while, and it's like, if a bunch of people are sitting around, I'll take part just for the social aspect, but I don't know why. That's never really been my thing.
Do you like puzzles?
I do. You know what? It's like the artificial time crunch that drives me crazy. Like I like doing puzzles when I have my time to dedicate and do it the way I'm really maybe obsessive compulsive. I don't know. So like, if there's a potential way to find the answer, I'm going to brute force it and try every possible way, even if I know there's a faster way to do it, and which sounds stupid, but I struggle with stuff like that. Like, no, I want to do it the right way, not the most efficient way. So there's a wide range of CTF, a wide range of how people do it. Like, are there ways that make it better than others? Have you been to places where it just really sucked, or places it was really awesome?
So I don't want to say really sucked, right? Depending on the type of event you're getting into, sometimes a network setup is always the biggest pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass for the organizer, pain in the ass for the participants. Yeah, I can't really say that there's any that have kind of had me going, this is like, failed, because you know what? Sometimes when it's your first time, it's not going to go, according to plan. Sometimes too many people show up and they just can't actually handle that much activity at once.
I think, if you get your heart set on like, I'm here to play the CTF and something goes wrong, then it really bums you out. But if you just like stumble into a CTF, or you're like, I'm just going to do this for fun on my spare time while I'm sitting in talks or hanging out with friends, the pressure isn't really that bad. And when it sucks, you just walk away and do something else. So it's not so bad. I can't say that there are crappy CTFs, but I definitely know about a whole bunch of good ones. Little plug here. Check out the Car Hacking Village this year. The CTF should be a lot of fun.
All right, so tell us, you're doing the Car Hacking Village at Defcon, right?
Yep.
So what's that like? I've never made it down to that area. Like, I usually walk by and it's like, hey, there's a bunch of cool people doing stuff that I don't know much about right now, and I'll come back to this later sometime. But if somebody's in the Car Hacking Village, what is that like?
So, you walk in, the area is actually really big. We've got real cars in there. At least last year we did. I imagine the plan is to do the same thing again this year. There's some cars you can actually try to hack as the car itself. There are some that are just demonstrations where they show you, here's what the CAN bus messages look like, and here's how you replay them. Here's what that packet looks like, and you go through that. There are some where you actually hack into some little robotics cars, and you have to drive them around through an obstacle course. And how you get to that is the flag. And there's trivia questions about how the stuff works as well. So it's like Jeopardy style, but there's a lot more hands-on because you actually have cars there. And last year, the winner actually won a car. It's a truck. So it was like a specific Defcon decal truck. Like I think it was a Ford F-150. So I don't know that we have a car this year, but it's still a lot of fun. You learn a lot, and it's a CTF, but in a very, I guess, esoteric field.
Yeah, nice.
I should have went. I just, recently bought an F-150. I should have went to at least try to win the combo deal.
Yeah, I don't think people are allowed to hack that vehicle because that was the one people won. But yeah.
Nice. So, somebody that's never really done that before, do they really have much chance to jump in there and have a chance to win, or you got a bunch of big name superstars coming in and gonna, beat everybody else out?
Well, if SecDSM shows up and rolls over everybody, then you have a problem. But otherwise, you can totally get into it and put some points on the board and learn stuff. I think each time you play a CTF, you become better at playing CTFs, and you just kind of have to do it, learn the techniques, and move and try again. And I mean, every CTF or the puzzles might be built off of different types of people, so they solve them differently. And a lot of people, like you said, ctftime.org has a whole bunch of write-ups and different ways that you can learn techniques. I think just doing it, though, you'll become better at it. So it's start out, get one flag, next time get two. I feel like it's still a lot of fun. Sure.
Frank asked, do you have to sign up before the con for that car CTF?
I don't think so. I think there are certain slots, like specific, like if it requires hardware, I think those have a sign up, but I can get back to you on that actually.
Okay. Yeah, stuff like that. I found that usually watching Twitter, like finding out who's involved and who's in charge, and then watching those people's Twitter posts, the month before the con is a pretty good way to find out what's going on. Because it seems like, especially at DEF CON, there's a lot of things that just happen kind of last minute, right? What's that?
I said, or any conference.
Any conference, sure, right. It's like, oh shoot, we're 2 weeks out. We have to have this done. How do we do this now? Throw it together. Has anybody ever done the HackerFortress? At Defcon? Have you seen that?
I've seen people do it.
If you haven't heard about it, it's basically you have a team of like 6 people that play Team Fortress. capture the flag game. And then you also, on that same team, you have 6 people that are doing a CTF, and there's some flags. And so if your hackers figure out a flag, then that gives items to the gamers that can help them beat the other team. And if the gamers capture control points, that gives hints to the hackers. And so you're playing against one team you have a team of gamers and hackers playing against another team of gamers and hackers. It's a lot of fun. I signed up 2 years ago, just on a whim. I'm like, hey, I don't have a team, but I'll be a ringer. And what they did is they put all the ringers together in one team against the team that had won like the last 2 or 3 years. And so we got slaughtered. It was ugly, but it was still fun, right? I mean, you do stuff like that to have a good time and meet people and network and not necessarily to, learn everything the first time. So let's step back a little bit and talk about, there's a lot of smaller cons out there now. BSides, the BSides concept started in 2009. So that's almost 10 years ago, right? Next year will be the 10th year of BSides, which is crazy. How has that changed the conference landscape? Like in the last 10 years, what have you seen happen with conferences?
I see more B-sides, and I think that's a great thing, right? So it used to be for a lot of these conferences, you got to go to management, you got to go ask for, approval to travel and all this stuff. And, everything costs money, right? But now that we have really awesome security-focused events where you don't have to go way out of pocket, you can also make a road trip out of it, right? Any type of neighboring state or next big city over. I think it's, as far as how it's changed the landscape, it's really helped make security conferences more accessible, right? I'm sure Kate can relate, just as a student, right? Like we don't really have the world's best travel budget, right? Sometimes all we got is what's in our city or the next city over. So I think it's a good thing.
I think conferences, though, have become oversaturated. Like there's a conference every single weekend somewhere, and it's kind of insane. It's cool because like some people get to travel and they do the same talk at many different conferences. So like people who are local can go see the same thing. I do appreciate Adrian and our Iron Geek, who does all of the recordings and posts stuff online for people. I think that's really awesome for people who want to see the talks but can't afford to go. But I do think over the years I've seen there's just a lot of them, and it's hard to make it to all of them. It's hard to really distinguish some of them from each other, but I guess that's okay. So yeah. For the people who can do local stuff, that's really cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot more than one every weekend. Like I just pulled up the BSides calendar, and there were 4 the weekend of BSides Oklahoma. So
wow.
Yeah, I mean, they're all over the place. I'm curious what you mentioned. You said that you felt like it's saturated. I've kind of felt that way too, a little bit. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a personal thing, right? Because gosh, there's so many things going on, but you don't actually have to attend, and those other things may align better with other people's schedules. There could be different focuses in the conferences themselves. So I agree, though, from a planning perspective, you're never trying to step on anybody's toes, right? You always want to try to maximize attendance and, hey, we can't book this because it's RSA. We can't do this one because it's, Defcon and Blackhat. So I don't know. Ultimately, to me, it becomes more of just a personal preference thing on how you look at it. Kind of half empty, half full type of deal.
Yeah.
I think as an attendee, it's really awesome, but as someone who volunteers, it kind of sucks. So as an attendee, you get to sit and enjoy all the work that people have done, and it's really awesome because people have made this available to you. If you're a person who's running the network at one con or doing speaker wrangling at another con or being the organizer of another con, people at some point expect you to do certain things for their conference because you've been doing things for their other conferences. And it's just hard to maintain balance on that. So we need more volunteers, everybody, everywhere. If there's a con near you, volunteer.
There you go.
So that's another pitch.
Do you think the not the value, but the quality of talks has decreased with so many conferences out there?
I don't go to talks. I don't know.
That the quality of talks have decreased?
Yeah, I mean, just so the necessity of filling so many slots at so many conferences everywhere. Like I've wondered if by having so many conferences, really what we're doing is we're seeing more and more companies putting budget into their salespeople to go give talks. And so the overall general quality of talks seems to have gone down. And maybe that's just me.
I'm not gonna, I guess, agree to the quality of talks going down. I will agree to the whole sales thing you just said and say no more, just because, trying to be nice to salespeople. You get a lot of, first-time presenters. I remember my first talk, holy cow, like just nervous as could be, looked great in my mind. I'm pretty sure I put like 2 people to sleep. I don't know, I think it's hard to measure the quality of a talk, if you will. And now that we've had a lot more awareness in our space, we may have actually hit, some of a plateau where now we're starting to really try to break through new layers, and it may take a little time. So we may see a lot of, repeat of the same information. But, I asked a good friend, Dan Crowley, because I had a talk I wanted to give once, but the idea has already been talked about before. And he told me, hey, if you can present this in a way that people learn something from it, that no one else has really kind of, given that angle on, go for it. It'll be very useful. So, yeah, I mean, you got to have like a good talk to know what a bad talk looks like and vice versa, right? So it all washes out for me.
Sure, that's good.
I think even if you're repeating stuff up, people already know, and whether or not it's in a new light, they might not know where to find the material in the first place, but they're there at the con and they see your talk and they're interested in it now, and that's when they get that information. So it still has benefit, even if it's not from a new angle, which I did not realize until like a couple of years ago when I'm like, but all the stuff I'm talking about, stuff everyone already knows, and people are like, but I didn't know that. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't know that people they're not looking for it, or they might not know for whatever reason. So even if you're repeating yourself, it's kind of okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I gave, last week, I gave a talk on basically security basics. It was like, and the perspective of the talk was, you don't need a pen test, but it was 10 things that you should be doing before you get a pen test, right? It was just, and I got so much feedback. Like, I thought this is a easy talk. It's silly. It's a waste of time. The only reason I gave it is because I knew I was going to be busy organizing BSides, and I didn't want to have to like stress out about a talk. So I gave an easy one, and I got more feedback on that than any other talk I've given in the last couple of years. So that's a great perspective. That
was a great talk, Nathan. I was there.
Were you really there?
Yes, I was there in the audience with some old friends, and yeah, the topic on the 10 things that you need before a pen test, and you're like, hey, Kev, like, you're watching this, like, I'm not telling people that they shouldn't, but here's some things that you should actually do before you actually get a pen test. And it was a great perspective. I liked it.
Awesome, thanks. So
wait, 1 second, I want to finish with the speaker thing. I think right now it's, I think you mentioned like the quality or something. I don't remember what the question was, but I think right now it's a speaker's market, because there are so many conferences and the speaker can go to multiple places, and some conferences will pay for travel or they'll pay for whatever. So a speaker then can almost say, I'm only choosing the ones that pamper me, or, right now it seems like speakers get to choose what they want to do, and quality and whatever, and conferences, I don't want to say have to deal with it, but if they might in some cases have to deal with it depending on where they are.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit more. What makes a good talk? Like how do you differentiate a good talk from a bad talk? And not just the content, but the presentation and all that.
I feel like you kind of just said it there, but I think in its simplest form, did I learn anything? Right.
And what am I going to do when I walk away from this talk? Is it going to impact me in any way? Am I going to go do something? Did I learn something? What can I show for it?
Yeah. Were we delivered intelligence or actionable intelligence, right? Was the research about what you learned, or is it what I should be doing at work, at home, etc.? Presentation, or as far as delivery of content, I've I've killed people with bullet points before. I'm sorry, it happened, right? And there are just some really great speakers out there that they don't need slides. You just need to listen to them. Listen to Kevin speak. Listen to John Strand speak. I don't know. This is such a loaded question.
And that's why I'm bringing it up. I mean, because you mentioned like listen to Kevin speak, and this is one of the things that I don't like Kevin's types of talks, and he's not here to defend himself, so I'm okay saying that. I've told him this to his face. Like, he is a very engaging, entertaining speaker, and he hits high-level points, right? Like, I'm going to put a meme on the slide, and then I'm going to talk for 3 minutes, and then I'm going to put another picture, and I'm going to talk for 4 minutes. Like, that's his style of presentation, and it's good, and it draws in a lot of people, but it's not super informative at a technical level. Does that make sense? On the other side, you get people who are like, you talked about drowning them with bullet points. Like, it seems like people that get really technical end up being really dry and not engaging. So I don't know. Do you have either of you guys have any suggestions on how to find that balance? Or is it possible to find a balance?
I think that's just the way it's always going to be, honestly, right? You have these two options. If I talk at a high level, keep it really simple, a lot of people are going to leave with general concepts. Now, if it's a specialized talk, it's typically for, a specific crowd that I'm catering to. So the bullet points should be expected, right? Because you want to understand these details a little bit better. I don't know if there's like a perfect middle ground.
I personally, if I want to get into the details of everything and still, cover some high topics or whatever, I guess the high stuff and inspirational type of talking, I would think of is like a normal talk. But if you were to do anything more technical, I think it's best in a workshop, working on the computer together with people side by side, answering questions as people are stumbling through it. I mean, I taught at a local university and I super loved that piece of it. And I spent almost no time doing PowerPoint or talking. Like, I'd write on the board, do some concepts, and then go into the lab. And I think it's a lot easier to portray concepts when you're actually doing labs and not like putting code on a PowerPoint or anything like that, because that gets really weird. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah, that's good. I think both of you, I guess, at some point, have you participated in like reviewing CFP submissions? Okay. What do you guys have advice? Like, what would you tell people if they're like, hey, I want to submit a talk, or maybe I've submitted in the past and it never gets accepted? Like, do you have any suggestions on what they can do better to make their submission look impressive?
That was really tough because everyone has a different problem, or, I don't know. In some cases, they're not presenting a thought clearly, or they, the whole thing isn't well thought out. I think if anybody is trying to submit a CFP somewhere and they have questions why it's not, like, send it to me and ask me, like, tweet, email, I don't care. And I'll review it before you send it in somewhere. I don't care where you're sending it, and tell you what could be improved. And I have no problems doing that in my spare time. I think everybody might have a different thing that they need to learn. So I can't really give it here's the best way to do something.
Yeah, kind of echoing what I take away is start with the basics, like follow instructions. From your perspective, I have to kind of go out of my way because like you didn't follow instructions. I got to ask for more information. It kind of gives me a sign that, hey, are you really prepared for this, right? Is this something that you're actually taking serious? Because a lot of people are going to show up and from an organization or from an organizer's perspective, like, we're not trying to waste anyone's time. We're trying to give everyone a lot to learn. So, please just, I guess at a bare minimum, follow the instructions. Outside of that, more to Kate's point, I mean, there's no like, you do these 5 things and you're golden. I think the best thing, as Kate has already mentioned, is the community. Man, reach out, create a Twitter account, and say, hey, I want to submit this talk. Does anyone want to help review? And I'm sure at least 5 people will say yes.
And you might end up getting a whole bunch of like, oh, hey, so-and-so has already done research on this topic. Here's a bunch of material that might help you. And you might end up with a different angle than you started, but you'll be much more prepared for the topic.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sean pointed out in chat, if nobody saw it, that to spell correctly. Like that's kind of a personal pet peeve. And I struggle sometimes, especially with international speakers, where it's obvious that English isn't their first language. And I struggle with that, recognize, all right, let me set that aside and still judge it just based on content.
I think what the other part he said was more important. Tell what the audience will walk away with, because that's, I mean, the purpose and the goal is really what you should care about in the presentation.
Right.
So having that is very important.
What about the length of the submission? Like, can a submission be too long? How often do you see some that are too short? You know, that sort of thing, or does it matter that much?
I feel like I've seen some too short ones where it was kind of like, here's a shot in the dark. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't.
Right.
I don't know about too long. I feel like about a page and a half is kind of maybe one of the medium to lengthier size ones that I've read, but I haven't struggled with, you've given me too much information. If anything, that's great. You know, we just got to look at how do we condense this for your talk abstract, etc.
Yeah, that's one of the things for BSides Oklahoma that I've seen is like, we'll get a paragraph or maybe not even a full, like 3 sentences, right? Just a real general idea. And it's like, you may be a genius and know everything about this topic and be an awesome presenter, or you could be completely clueless and just, like you said, doing a shot in the dark. And I have no way of knowing based on that. So I definitely agree longer is better. So if somebody if somebody is listening that has never submitted a talk to a conference, what would your advice be? How would you tell them to start?
Read the instructions.
Keep it right from me.
Right. Well, I feel like if you're interested in giving a topic or you want to speak on something, first you have to be interested in a topic, right? You have to try your hand at whatever, see what research has already happened, if you can find any. I feel like the internet's a powerful tool. And just see what other people have done. See if you can create, like Devon said, a new angle on it. I mean, if you end up presenting the same thing that other people present, I guess that's fine. I feel like that sounds like plagiarism, but really whatever you can personally get out of it to share that has this purpose, work towards that. And I usually, like, I set what I want my goal to be, and then I work backwards from that and figure out, you know, if this is what I want people to walk away with, what does it take for them to do that? And then you build everything out from there. And then your talk should be like an outline, a detailed discussion of how that's going to take place. And, you know, if you can't do that, it's going to be hard for someone to know what the talk is about and understand it well.
Sure. Sean mentioned in chat to start local and then move to regional cons. I think that's one of the big values of smaller cons, of all the BSides and stuff like that is, you know, I mean, we have, I think at BSides okay, probably 40 to 50% of the talks this year were all local people. And that's awesome to see that kind of development. What conferences have you guys spoken at? I know you've both spoken some. Kate? Where have you spoken at conferences?
I don't know which ones I've spoken at.
I know you volunteer and help a lot. I couldn't remember if you've actually spoken anywhere.
I know I've spoken somewhere. BSides Nashville, some other ones.
Do you like it? Is this something you want to continue doing?
I prefer classes and labs than speaking. I mean, we'll be speaking like once a weekend in May this month. Yeah. So yeah, but I don't know. I prefer labs.
What about you, Devon? I know you spoke at DerbyCon a couple years ago. Yes, done DerbyCon, BSides Oklahoma, DakotaCon, and that's a conference that we really need to, I guess, talk about towards the tail end of this, just to shed some light on this amazing conference in South Dakota.
Now's a good time. What's so amazing about it? I haven't been.
Oh, it's just literally out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, this is where I went to school at, and literally when I was like, where am I going to go to school at to learn computer security? Tried a bunch of different ones and eventually found myself at Dakota State University. I never toured the campus. I just drove. My dad at the time gave me like this little cheap GPS. And I'm like driving down, no, it's not I-80. No, wait, I think it is. And eventually turned off a road and my GPS went from like an arrow to a question sign, like, where are you going? Like, no civilization out there, and it snowed so bad, like, and I was starting to agree, like, I'm probably gonna die out here. But, you know, after all this travel, you finally get to Madison, South Dakota. and it's the coolest experience ever. You know, the campus itself, the speakers that they bring in, right? So in the past, you know, we always have Eric Smith from Lars, Dave Kennedy, met Moxie Lines right there. Just a lot of, you know, really outstanding speakers and just contributors in our industry. Just the opportunity to network with them, that and students. So like if I was an employer, that's probably where I'd want to be, try to network with people. And you know, I guess that's the end of my plug for that. But,
nice. When is that one?
So that one was like 2 weeks before BSides Oklahoma this year. I can't recall the exact date. Unfortunately,
right, so like March. Cool. So I'm hesitant to get into this, but I'm going to throw it out there because, yeah, who knows? There's been a lot of talk the last couple of years about how do we get more women involved in information security and in speaking. You know, we had things like a couple of years ago at Defcon, we had the Tiara Con that was, you know, women only, this special event. And then really what made me think about this was last week. I don't know, did you guys see the I don't even know how to say it, RSA conference? So basically some folks recognized that at RSA this year, there were hardly any women presenting. And so they set up in a really short time frame, a secondary conference, I guess, kind of like BSides, in San Francisco. And it was all women, except for, I think there was 3 guys, but they intentionally set it so that there were no white males speaking. And I'm curious what you guys think about that. Like, is that a good way to encourage diversity, or are there other ways of doing that better? Or is that maybe a better question is that something that should happen at more cons, or is it better to have just a few cons like that where we try to? I'm curious because I don't know what to think about this trend.
Gosh, that's you know, that's tough. So you know, I'm of mixed race, so just trying to, I mean, I don't look like the white dude, so that's cool with me. But I don't know. I wonder if I would feel even more isolated at that point. Like that, I don't know, that people had to go to the way to do something special for me because I guess there's, you know, this discrimination on our submission forms. I don't think we have like a male or a female. So I mean, at least in my reviewing, like I've never like, oh, you know, like this is a guy or this is a girl or this is their ethnicity. Like all we care about is the research, what you have to say. So as far as getting people, you know, more into, you know, giving these talks, I don't have a solution, honestly, but I can just speak from experience that, you know, I've never done that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think if you want to encourage new people to talk, you can, you know, talk to them specifically and tell them they should do a talk. I don't think people aren't going to speak or submit their CFPs if they don't want to. And if they do want to, you'll see it, right? And you know, for the RSA or however you want to call it, I mean, it's their conference. I really don't care if you want to go to it and support that, that's your call. And if you don't, then don't go. I mean, I don't really know how it affects any of us unless you're speaking there or you're attending there. I don't know. I'm not sure there's a better way as a female in security. And yeah, I don't know. Like I do the things I want to do and don't do the things I don't want to do. Well said.
We had I had somebody tell me that they were disappointed there weren't more female speakers at BSides Oklahoma. We had one, and she was the only person. She was the only female that submitted, as far as I can tell. I didn't go back and look at the names, but and honestly, we solicited that talk. Like we asked her to come give a talk. So I don't know if there are better ways. I feel like I recognize that it is a place where it is primarily a male-dominated field, and especially conferences are maybe even more so. But I don't know if there's things we can do better there.
I almost think that it's really also just about the influence in their own inner circles. Like, you know, there are a lot of amazing, you know, female researchers out there that I follow, and I'm glad to see that they continuously encourage, you know, other women to, you know, please participate, please submit ideas. So I guess that's I don't know. I just, you know, congrats to you guys. You know, hope you keep doing that, and maybe just give it more time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Are there other trends or events at conferences that you think, hey, this is a really good thing that's happening and I like to see that? Or maybe the opposite, like this is a bad thing that we need to stop doing? Pet peeves or anything like that?
So BSides Oklahoma did something really interesting this year, and I think this was Carrie Joe's idea. If you were at the event, you had the opportunity to wear a special colored bracelet that said that you were actually actively seeking employment, or at least open to the idea. I thought that was awesome because sometimes it's hard to, kind of break that ice at a conference if you are in that tough spot looking for work. But on the flip side, it may be kind of difficult, like, if Nathan's there with Kevin and Nathan's like, how do I wear this bracelet? My boss is right there.
You can say it's a joke.
Actually, that's what Jason and I both wore them the whole week. No, that's a good point. So, I want to give this company credit. There's a company called cybersecjobs.com. And I mean, they're like a recruiting firm or something like that, but they sent out a message on the BSides, like the main BSides mailing list, saying any conferences that want to have these, they'll send the bands for free. So we signed up and said, yeah, we'd love to do that. And they sent us this box of, I think there were blue ones that say I'm looking and orange ones that say I'm hiring, or vice versa. Yeah, I have no idea how effective they are. That'd be cool if anybody got a job and said, yeah, I got a job because of that. Anything else? Anything you've seen at a con, you're like, man, that really, I wish people wouldn't do that.
Don't offer drinks to people who aren't drinking. Yeah, that's probably like a lot of people push drinks on people, and that's kind of weird. I mean, if you like to drink, cool, more power to you. But if someone isn't drinking, probably don't offer them drinks. Just for whatever reason. Yeah,
that's a touchy subject. Totally. I always feel bad, like at DerbyCon when somebody comes up and what do they call that when they give them the warm Smirnoff Ice?
Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah, I think someone.
Like, Dave Kennedy, he gave me a jalapeno vodka shot after a talk once, and I was not prepared for that. Like, I almost threw that up right there in front of everybody.
Shots of Malort, bleh, those are gross.
I feel like there's stuff like that maybe is funny in a bar afterwards, but maybe not at the con. So
or know the people. I mean, if there's just know who you're drinking with, I guess.
Yeah, right. So somebody earlier mentioned that, I think, Devin, I think you mentioned you were talking about how, companies have budgets for going to conferences or maybe, have a hard time spending a lot of money and the value of local cons. Do you think, is that still an educational benefit? Like, should companies still say, hey, we're going to give you so much money or we're going to pay for you to go to X number of cons a year? Is there value in that or not so much from an educational perspective?
It's so hard. So when I said that companies have budgets, I mean fictitiously. So for friends that have blue team before, been through that corporate world on a tight budget, you'll know that there is an idea of a budget, but it may not always exist.
Right.
Should companies, send their employees to conferences, send them to trainings? Absolutely. I would almost say send them to training over conferences first, because more to Kate's point, it's a practical hands-on learning. What are my takeaways? I could see how maybe an organization would be a little upset where like, hey, dude, we send you out to Defcon every year. And every year you come back super wasted, no knowledge transfer. You didn't really debrief anybody. That you came back, almost debriefed yourself. I could understand how some organizations would shy away wanting to send people there. And I don't know. It's tough.
So at my last job, we had some budget. Like, you'd go to one thing, I guess. Anything you went to, you had to come back and like share with the team, give a presentation of what you learned. So that was like, if you forgot to give that presentation to the team, then you're not given another chance to go to stuff. Nice. But there was like, I paid for myself to go to Defcon, I think almost every time I've gone, which is fine. But at some point, one of my employers said, like, we're going to send you to Blackhat. It's going to be awesome. And I go there and like, I didn't go for the training. I just went for the talks. And then I still had to be early at Defcon to set up for the CTF stuff. So I missed a lot of the conference, and I told them like, never send me there again. It was a complete waste of money. I didn't get to go to anything. I didn't learn anything. And like the whole time I was spent setting up for the next con that, you know, I paid for. So like you really have to see what you plan on doing once you go there to make it for them. But I told them after that, like, just send me to SANS or something else where I can actually take a class and get a cert out of it or something, instead of trying to go to these conferences where, again, like you said, like being wasted the whole time coming back with no knowledge transfer. It really doesn't benefit the company. So it doesn't make sense for them to pay money for it.
Nice. I think both of you kind of mentioned trainings and the value there. There are so many options for training nowadays. You know, I mean, it used to be, hey, if you want big training, go to SANS or go to Blackhat, right? Those were kind of your options. And those are incredibly expensive, but now there's training options all over the place, anywhere from, you know, at BSides, we had 2-day trainings for $500. You can go to DerbyCon and I think it's 1,000 or, you know, less than $2,000 anyway. Are there places that you feel like the trainings are better than others or worse than others, or any takeaways that people could get on how to get the most for their money training wise?
I think it really comes down to what is it you're trying to learn, right? So Kate mentioned SANS, myself as well, been through 3 SANS courses. You know, I think they're excellent. You know, it's really a boot camp style. You go there to learn. It's really like a learning job, actually. You know, what may be a waste of time? It's hard to tell. I mean, the internet is full of just great, you know, great security training. You can, oh wow, I'm gonna try to go to the sidebar over here. I see why y'all are kind of You don't have to have a lot of money to actually get security training, right? You can go online, you know, you can check out SecurityTube, you can check out, gosh, I'm blanking on the name of this other one that was a really good resource. Maybe I'll post it in Slack here in a minute when I'm done chatting about this. But as far as like bad training, I don't know if I've ever had bad training. I think every training I've ever gone to, I've left with something. I've learned something. I don't think I've ever been to a training where I said, hey, this is a big waste of time and I learned absolutely nothing.
Nice.
I will say, if you come to Converge next month, we've got free workshops and training. And so, I mean, just for the conference ticket, which is like $150, which is much more attainable than a normal training, I think. But yeah, no, like you said, everything online being available is kind of the biggest thing. Like that's the most you can do with stuff. And people have VMs that help you train stuff. And I don't know, depends on what you're into.
Absolutely. So maybe the request at work needs to be, I need a week to just, you know, do just this. You know, I'm going to go to Vuln Hub. I'm going to go pull down some images and I'm going to take this learning material and, you know, I'm going to just walk through, learn some things. I guess probably the only place I could see, or the only specialty not being able to get around this is like blue team. Like blue team, you got to go ship and square. So, you know, to just get, you know, hands-on hardening things and, you know, deploying certain policies, et cetera. So yeah, I guess the biggest differentiator there, from my perspective, is a blue team or red team training you're after.
That's good feedback. I like the idea of saying, you know, hey, I just want a week to, you know, or maybe even a couple days or whatever. Instead of going somewhere for a conference, I'm gonna absorb some of these online resources, and then I think maybe if you combined that with what Kate was talking about and Sean mentioned in chat, right? If afterwards I'm gonna do a presentation for the rest of the team of everything I learned. You know, that might be kind of cool, right? If companies said, hey, we're going to spend 3 days and everybody's going to absorb a different training, and then the 4th day, everybody's going to give a presentation to everybody else on what they learned, that'd be kind of cool.
I do think, though, it's important, like if you stay at your work office, you need to get a conference room and you need to clean, like block off your calendar and not answer phone calls. Like you have to escape as though you had gone somewhere. Because being around an office with people constantly bothering, or them even knowing that you're there, like finding you in a conference room, like that makes it really hard to focus on whatever it is you're trying to. And like if you were trying to dedicate this time, you have to make sure you actually get to do that.
Sure.
Also, take advantage of just people who are in your company. So at the last company I worked at, we had a lot of FPGA programmers, and like none of us had like ever really touched that. And sure enough, we're like, hey, could someone like give us a walkthrough? Can we write some sample code together? Can we learn this thing better? Right? Try to, maybe even set aside time to say, hey guys, like as a team, we're gonna do a lunch and learn on the company's line, right? Make them pay for lunch. Take the time to let's learn this thing together, whatever that may be.
Yep. Cool. Well, hey, that brings us to the end of the hour, so I want to be respectful of everybody's time. As we finish, I guess, guys, where's the next conference you're planning on being at? Kate?
Next weekend, I'm at PenguinCon in Southfield, Michigan. It's a Linux conference.
PenguinCon, very cool. Stan in chat says he'll be at Converge.
Yeah, Converge is the weekend after that.
Very cool. I think we'll have several. Is Kevin giving the keynote at Converge?
Yep, Thursday keynote, and he's doing a workshop there.
Very cool. Devin,
technical SecOps.
Where will you be next?
So I think on my personal roadmap, looks like Defcon Blackhat this year, and then possibly ShowMeCon.
Very cool. I'm speaking at ShowMeCon, so I'll be there. And then I've got a conference or another association that I'm involved with has their conference on the same weekend as Blackhat and Defcon this year, so I can't go to Vegas. But guys, I appreciate it. Appreciate your time and your input. If anybody else has feedback or you want to keep chatting, that Professionally Evil Slack is open. We'd love for more people to get involved. There's no marketing there. It's not a secure ideas thing necessarily. It's just a place for people to chat about security. So Kate, Devin, appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next month.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Thanks.